Right, so we've kicked Ashton out of the booth for the second time in 2 episodes. And instead, I've brought along another Star Wars enthusiast, Spencer. Man, tell us a little bit about yourself. Do you love Star Wars, and what are your top 3 Star Wars movies?
Okay, I do love Star Wars. We're good friends. We're in the same fantasy football league, and I've known you. I know you
That's right,
through.
the one that I won.
I mean, I've won also. Just saying, but but yeah, no, I'm in Fort Worth. Just working, I guess. Nothing too
Do
crazy.
you want to give your address to the people?
I honestly don't even know
That's a
my
joke.
address off the
That's
top
a
of my
joke.
head. I just moved, so I don't even know
Okay,
it off the top of my
okay.
head. Yeah, okay, so favorite Star Wars. I think Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars movie. I don't know if that's a hot take
Holy
or not,
moly.
but I
I
love
mean,
the way that movie, the way it happened. I don't know. I just love a lot about that movie. So
okay. That's number one. You got to
yeah,
give me your next 2 in a
yeah.
row,
So
just so people know where we're coming from.
number two. Oh gosh, the more I think about it, the worse it sounds. Force Awakens is probably my second favorite one.
Ooh, oh
Yeah,
my
I
goodness.
thought it had a lot of promise, and coming out of the theater, had a lot of hope for the next uh, trilogy.
Man,
That was dashed against the
Cloud Nine,
rocks,
baby.
but
That was a good time.
yeah. And then the third one, probably for nostalgia reasons, not because it's a great movie, it would have to be Revenge of the Sith, just
Yeah.
because the
I don't
ending,
know if you've
literally
listened
because
to
of
the
the ending,
podcast. I don't know if you've
literally
listened
because
to
of
the
the ending.
podcast, but that is my number one movie that I enjoy.
Yes,
So
I rewatched it because of how much you talked about it and how passionate you were for it, and I shouldn't have done that because I liked it a lot more before I watched it, and it did not go well the second time I watched it.
uh, let me tell you, man, I love that movie. And then I guess I'll give my next 2 just because obviously Revenge of the Sith number
Hmm.
1 for me, and then number 2 is Empire Strikes Back, and then number 3 is probably Rogue One. So we both are the
Okay,
demographic for this
okay,
show.
this is perfect then. That's good. I will
Yes,
say the original
for
trilogy,
sure.
I can't get past the age of it. I just can't. I didn't grow up
Yeah,
watching it, so like
let me
the
tell
first
you.
ones I watched was the prequel trilogy. So
Same. I mean, obviously that was our kind of generation, and like Ashton, that's the Revenge of the Sith is his favorite one also. Yeah, I think now watching them, I can still. I love the Industrial Light and Magic documentary about them making those movies, and
mhm.
just I can appreciate the craft of it, and then the story I make. So yeah, I'm still just a huge Star Wars fan. I miss movies, but not to give it away, but this show is giving me a little hope for some Star Wars shows.
Yeah, going into this show, I
So,
was really down on Star Wars, Star Wars, and I was really nervous the show would be terrible. But
dude,
luckily,
me
I
too.
didn't
What
think
do you
so.
think of it so far?
I I think it's my favorite show so far. It's only been what 3 episodes, but
Yeah, it's tough to say that,
yeah,
but
but based off the first 3 episodes, I think I like it more than The Mandalorian, which was my favorite previously.
same. I so smart releasing it in 3 episodes because it felt more like a movie. Like if they'd have just
Hmm.
released the first one, I think I'd have been a lot more down on this series.
Yeah, whenever I feel like with this one they figured out how to make it a TV show. Like the flow of the narrative works a lot better in the three
Well,
episode way.
see, I'm interested on hearing you talk about these in the spoilers because I think I would disagree. I think that
Really?
well, I think that they've robbed us of a good movie here because they're insisting on doing shows now because shows have a plan. And I'm good with that. As long as you've got a plan, shows are fine, especially when you're putting this much money into it. But I think I just miss movies. And I think that's why I like this one so much because the way they set up the show, like the first episode is pretty like pretty set up. And then it starts moving. And then you get kind of the climax of the show of the section that we've watched in that third episode. So it's more formatted in movie than it is like a show where you have kind of an arc for each episode.
Yeah,
Especially like in Mandalorian, it's very much that way, serialized.
I would agree. I would rather it be a movie. I'm just saying, like the way they're doing the TV show compared to some of the other TV shows we've seen is a lot better. Like the format they're doing it in,
Yes,
I
and I
guess.
would also say you don't have to love Rogue One to love this show. Like we
Agreed.
both like it a lot, but I think it grows the Star Wars lore, and it's not just a story about a guy who dies in the in the filler movie. You
Yeah,
know,
I
it's
I
not
feel
just
like
about Andor.
it's a little more. darker than some of the other Star Wars movies that are a little more like mystical. But I like that this one has a
Yes,
lot of
yeah.
mystery in it. Trust the
You have to
audience member.
you have to pay attention to this.
Yeah.
Like Mandalorian, you could passively watch and you'll understand everything. But this, like, you have to pay attention to what they're saying. You have to actually think about it like it's intelligent dialogue. Think about it like it's intelligent dialogue. It felt adult without being like pointless violence or pointless sex or. I
Hmm.
mean, I will say they curse a few times in this, and it blew my mind. And I'm not here for cursing's sake, but it just felt a little more adult in
Or
that
like they took it
sense.
serious.
Yes, like they take it serious. That's a better way to say it. And not once did I have to ignore a problem in the story. Like in the other story, in the other shows, I have to ignore some problems to enjoy it. You know,
Yeah, like the
like
it doesn't make sense. Or the
yes, like it
what
doesn't
is
make
it?
sense. Like Vader leaving Obi-Wan multiple times, and then Obi-Wan leaving Vader.
Yeah.
Like
Or
I'm
the
like,
speeder
okay, I
bike
just have to
gang.
enjoy the story. Like, why are we doing that?
The speeder
Yeah,
bike gang
the
on
speed biker
Boba
gang.
Fett
Like, what are we
show.
doing with that either?
Golly.
Boba deciding to fight in the middle of the town instead of his fortress. I'm
Yes.
like, what? Why?
They butchered him. They
Or
butchered his whole character.
Mando even going on random fetch quests that really have no tie-in to anything.
Yeah.
Like all this was like serious television, uh, and I didn't have to like ignore a problem in the story to enjoy it, and that's why I think it's probably on its way to being my favorite show. Also,
Yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the
um,
show. How many episodes is it? Is it 10?
I think they said 12,
Oh, really? Two extra
so
episodes?
that's nice.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and hopefully they keep getting longer. Like that finale episode was the longest one.
Hmm.
The middle one was the smallest one, and I think that's just because of how like I said, I think it's just set up like a movie, and the meat of it is not in that middle episode. But all right, is there anything else you want to say in the non spoiler part?
Off the top now.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Also, you said it feels more serious. I think Rogue One, the blasters in Rogue One felt the heaviest. Like
Hmm.
feel the most like impactful. Like it's not like just a guy going around shooting. The VFX are showing like it
Yeah,
really feels like you're shooting a blaster and it is impacting and hitting
yeah,
a person. Like I remember in the theater in watching Rogue One and I think Baze Chirrut, he just like fires off his like machine gun blaster and just mows down stormtroopers, and it felt brutal. I
yeah.
was like, whoa.
They're not always missing.
Uh, right, they're not missing, and I don't know. It just felt like the blaster has weight, and that continues in this story in this show. So I was appreciative of that also. So
Yeah, the
if that makes sense, I don't know if that's
no,
making
no, yeah, no.
sense.
What you're saying makes sense. I also kind of going on the same like wavelength here. I think Rogue One was the first time I actually felt like the fear of who Darth Vader is at the very end, like leading up, because
Yeah,
I never felt the like the dread that everyone talks about and how much he's like the worst bad guy ever and all this kind of stuff until I saw Rogue One. I was like, oh, this dude is actually scary. Like I actually believe it now after
yeah,
seeing that movie.
yeah.
You just tore through those guys in the hallway just like it was
Agreed.
nothing. But yeah, so
So true. So true.
hopefully we get something like
All
that.
right. I guess we'll jump into spoilers. So again, spoiler territory, and we're just gonna dive into episode one. Man, right out the gate, it felt like Blade Runner.
Yeah.
I bet everyone's saying it. It
Yeah.
felt straight up like Blade Runner.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what was going on.
Uh,
I like that it was just him the whole time. He was the only person we knew of that whole opening scene. To just focusing on
no
Cassian.
real spoil. No like not spoilers. What do you call it? Cameos. No
Yeah.
cameos right off the bat. No, nothing to really tie you in to know that you were even in the Star Wars universe. Really,
Hmm. Yeah, it's real
which is kind of
grounded.
crazy. Which is why it felt like Blade Runner, I think. But I would say the writing jumped off the screen instantly. Got to lock into that dialogue.
Oh,
Uh,
dude, best
you
dialogue.
compare Boba walking into a bar versus Andor walking into this bar, and the conversation he had with those two, not Imperials, but what are they? The
Yeah, I think like a hired
security for
corporation.
hire?
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
corporation that's hired to be the local military kind of thing.
Yeah. I think they call them like corporate tactical forces.
I recently figured or learned that that's kind of how a lot of the militaries and stuff in the Star Wars universe worked. Like the clones in the Clone Wars, like they were mostly operating with like the local governments and stuff. They weren't clone troopers everywhere. You know, it was
Yeah.
people like these
Yeah.
these corporations that they were using to police the world or the police the
Which
universe.
is genius, right? That's so genius on like the Empire's part and Palpatine. It just there's layers to it if you think of it that way. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. I hadn't really thought of that. Man, Mustache Guy was my favorite character in that first episode. You know who
Mustache?
I'm talking about?
No.
Mustache Guy. When the main bad guy goes to him and he's his superior,
Oh
and
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, "These people died. I've written a report for you." And he's not an idiot. He immediately picks up on, okay, these two were picked on the wrong guy and got killed.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, you know what? I don't want to deal with it. Let's cover it up. It's not worth the fight. And he says, the way he says it is so like, it's like, oh, the writing is next level compared to like any Star Wars show we'd seen so far. At some point, he was like, write it up as like something sad but inspiring in a more mundane sort of way.
Yeah.
You know, and it's,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like it's such a good way to put like what they're trying to do, covering that up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just loved everything about that character.
I don't understand who the villain is. I don't get him. Is he like insecure and he's trying to like, or is he like really like pro government or
I think
something?
he's
I don't
really
understand.
gung ho, man.
Yeah, like he seems like he really wants the position and he's like really trying to. I don't know if I like it though. I don't understand it.
Well, in a way, it's like it's weird because you can see him as like being the good guy if he was like a policeman, you
Yeah.
know, because he's like trying to avenge his fallen brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and instead it just kind of brings out like I don't know, he's clearly the bad guy the way they portray it.
Oh, 100%.
And
Yeah.
it's like bringing out his imperial side.
Yeah.
But you can just see how he could end up like in another movie. He could be the star of the show. Like there are cop movies that are like this.
Yeah. Yeah. The imperial vibes from that guy for sure, which is good. I mean, that's probably what they want us to think or believe. So
yeah, and I like it too because he's not like he's a good compliment to the guy that he is in charge of later, who brings in his own squad and is like he's in episode 2, the zealous like commander guy.
yeah, like the Scottish dude.
I loved his character also. Yes, yeah, the Scottish dude.
I like that the bad guy is like learning to be worse, if that makes any sense. Like he's a growing character also. Like he doesn't know what he's doing, but he wants to do something like positive for his crew.
Like, yes, and he's like going about it in the wrong way, but they're like talking about like the galaxy's festering, like we need to have rules and restrictions, and I don't know, just like they just feel like Imperials, like the actual bad guys.
Yeah.
But they in their mind are doing the thing that will save the galaxy.
Yeah.
And I love when the villains are villainous and not just twirling mustaches.
Yeah, they're not, and they seem competent
idiots
to a degree. Yeah, they seem competent.
Yes. Going back to the first episode, did any of those Andor supporting characters stand out to you at all?
I don't remember what episode it was. It may have been a later episode, so stop me if it is. But when Cassian interacts with his mom, his, I guess, estranged mom or stepmom or whatever you want to call it, that whole, anytime they talk or they have dialogue, it was my favorite part of the entire show. And I wish I had written down some of the lines, but like you were saying earlier, like the writing was so good on that. Every time they were talking. You have
to pay attention.
Yeah.
To get the nuance of what they're saying, you have to pay attention, and I love that.
Yeah, it's like they're talking about things as if you, the viewer, know already, and you don't, so you kind of have to figure it out.
Yes, and it's like real conversation. It's not just like two guys staring.
Yeah, like exposition explaining something. They're just doing it as if you already know. I love that.
Yes, I agree. Looking back, so I'm trying to think of if any of the characters stood out to me in the first episode, other than Andor and those two Imperials that I talked about. I thought Bix and his relationship with Andor is really interesting, and we get more into that in the episode 2. So I guess we'll just jump into episode 2.
Yeah,
I thought it was a little more forgettable than the other 2 episodes because it was so short, and like I was kind of hinting to in the spoiler-free review, it felt like this movie was Act 1, rising action, and then climax, and each episode had its own like set within the movie, but each episode didn't feel like its own episode to me. Like watching that first one, I would have not felt any resolution at all.
Yeah, if I had to wait a week, I'd be kind of annoyed.
Right. So I think that they still don't quite know how to do television, but I'm okay with it if they're just disguising these movies as TV shows, as long as we get them in these chunks.
Yeah, I'm perfectly okay with that. The who is okay? So no one's related, right? They're all like just friends. So who's the dude who works in? Who's the dude that works in like the shipyard? The big dude. I forget
I
his
know.
name,
I can't remember his name.
but I
It's like it
loved.
starts with a B, I think. Like Bixo or something. No, Bix is the girl.
I
I
can't
can't
remember his
remember
name,
what his
but
name
you know what I'm
is.
talking about, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So again with the
He
dialogue
looks a
stuff,
lot like Tim.
whenever he just walks up and like, hey, I need your help. Can you do this for me? And the dude's like, I got you, kind of a thing. They do that little like alibi
Uh huh.
situation. He has to make up an
Uh
alibi.
huh.
I thought that was done so well. It seems believable.
Such
Yeah, he doesn't
yeah,
explain
good
himself. He's
writing
just
again.
like, I got it. I'll help you out, and then
Uh
go
huh.
away, kind of a thing.
Right, and you
Yeah,
tell me about it later. Why I'm
yeah,
having to do this?
yeah, exactly. Like that's a real friend kind of stuff.
Felt like a real relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was in episode 1.
yeah, it was.
He stood out, but we don't know his name.
Yeah, I know.
That's because he really still hasn't been a big part of the show yet. I'm hoping he gets more time later.
My bet is like he's one of the guys that's gonna die. Sadly, he just seems likable, so they gotta kill him.
That's fair,
We'll
man.
see though.
What is Bix and Andor's relationship?
Yeah, I thought they were brother and sister at first. I'm not even gonna lie. And then when I
It kind
found
of
out
felt
he was
like it.
adopted, I was like, oh, well, then are they dating?
Yeah,
Because
and then
there's
he's
like this
looking
weird.
for his sister, so that's clearly not her.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on? And then the
And it's
boyfriend.
like they have some like sexual tension for sure, and no wonder Tim was getting jealous. You
Yeah,
know,
and then
like
they didn't address
they
it at
acted
all.
like, "Oh, shame on Tim for not trusting her." I'm like, man, Andor is so close to her when he talks. I'm like, back up a little bit.
Give her some space.
Give her some space. She's dating another guy. If someone got that close to my girl, I'd be getting mad too.
Yeah, I'd be
I
calling
would have
the
done things a little
Empire.
differently than he did.
Okay, I didn't mind what he did, and I understand the little narrative that they're trying to pull with him, like getting jealous and trying to do the right thing, you know. But then he just like
Yeah,
rages and then attacks them to defend her or something like that. I was like, what just happened? What was that? That blind
dude, I
rage.
get that. I get that.
I
I get that.
understand like
If someone was beating your girl, you're not thinking, "Oh, I need to approach this situation calmly." You're going to charge in there like, "Hey, stop attacking her." And then I don't know if he realized they had guns because they
that's
just
what
mowed him down and didn't even care.
I don't know. I understand.
Down and didn't even care.
I don't know. I understand. I get that. I just feel like the way they did it seemed a little cheesy because he literally just like
Uh,
stop. He shoves them and then runs at him as if they're not going to shoot him. Like I
I
don't know.
mean, I mean, she's bleeding. They like showed her bleeding, like on
Yeah,
her face.
yeah,
So I get it, and it happens quick. He didn't even act. He didn't like. It wasn't like he sat there and whined for 10 minutes or whatever. It was literally like, "Hey, stop doing that! Stop doing that!" And he says, "Don't get closer," and he takes a step and then shoots him. I think that's realistic, especially if like a again, you just have to like relate it to like a cop or something. Like he's
yeah,
not thinking he's about to get shot.
yeah. I feel like a lot of the show so far kind of has like a political narrative
Yeah,
vibe,
it does
good
kind
or
of feel that
bad,
way.
whatever. But like the show's good, so
Mhm.
I don't really care too much.
Yeah,
It's still good,
and
so
they're not beating you over the head with it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're
But
not winking at the camera every time they shoot a guy.
yeah, I don't even
Yeah,
remember what
so
all happens in
that
this
relationship
episode
and
two.
that storyline was odd to me. Or do what?
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. I was talking about episode two. I was like, I don't even remember what happens in episode two fully off the top of my head.
That's that's what I was saying. It's super forgettable
Yeah.
because it flows like a movie. It doesn't flow like a show.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely more forgettable of the other two. That one's the one where you Bix goes and sleeps over at Tim's house after her and Andor's talk about like, hey, we're going to get. They go to a bar and Tim sees them hold hands for a second. Like, of course he's getting jealous.
Yeah. Cassie, what are
I
you
feel
doing,
for
bro?
the guy.
Yeah.
He should have taken it. He should have talked. You know, obviously that's the moral of the story
Yeah.
is communicate in your relationship and you don't get shot in the street. Um, but they're
Real
talking
practical
about
advice.
getting, yeah, very practical. They're talking about getting that Sarsgaard character. Do you know his name? Can you remember? Do you know his name? Have they said it?
Kellen, is it Kellen Skarsgård you're talking about?
Yeah. What's his character's name?
Oh, Luthen. Luthen.
Luthen?
Yeah.
I don't hate that
Luthen
name. That's pretty
Real.
cool.
Yeah. He's also a great actor.
Oh,
His
fantastic
voice,
actor! I'm
his
so
voice
glad
is
he's in
so,
Star Wars,
yeah,
and this character seems so exciting. But in the episode 2, that she's talking to him about him coming down. Tim decides to tell on Andor. You introduced to the zealous commander, the number 2 guy,
mhm.
or I guess number 3 if you're counting Mustache Man, our main bad guy, and then this commander dude. I wish I knew their names better. They don't say them enough. And then we also got a lot of flashbacks. How you feeling about the flashbacks?
Oh, with the jungle people,
Yeah.
Cassian when he was a kid. The
Uh-huh.
first one kind of confused me, where they're just like there and then they see the ship crash. I feel like that could have all been done in one quicker segment instead of breaking it up into a couple of different flashbacks that
Yeah.
were kind of prolonged. But I do like him going
Yep.
into the ship for the first time and seeing a ship and being like, what the heck am I looking at right now? And then he just attacks it. He
Yep.
doesn't know what he's doing. He's just attacking it.
Uh, and they're like they drag that out. I agree too much, but the idea of it is pretty cool.
Yes, it's
And
cool.
I'm super interested because like in Rogue One, they say that he fought for the Separatists. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like where does that come in? Are they gonna just kind of retcon that or just not even
Yeah.
acknowledge that? Also, like where are the parents? I guess they all died on this toxic world. You
Yeah,
know,
I don't
it's
understand.
all
Maybe
kids.
they might do more flashbacks or something to explain it, but
I'm sure they'll clear it up more, but I don't know. I was just like, when we flash back to that, I was like, okay, let's hurry this part up because I actually want to get back to the current day stuff
yeah.
a little more. Man, do you think that is a Republic ship or an Empire ship? Because it
I,
had Empire written all over it,
yeah,
but that
yeah.
should be the Republic time period. And she kept saying Republic ships are coming.
Yeah, I don't know. It looked like I have no idea. I literally have no idea because they weren't dressed like Empire people either.
Right. And so it must
But
be
the
the
inside looked
Republic,
like
and
them.
they just must be starting to phase in those Empire looking ships into, because the Republic obviously becomes the Empire.
Yeah,
So it was just interesting. It was making me getting confused in my timelines of, okay, when is this?
yeah, yeah. When I saw that, I was like, I don't know what ship this is, but I'm just kind of going along for the
Yeah.
ride. I'm sure it'll explain it later. But what do you think
Agreed.
of the?
Agreed.
Do you like the little robot, the little red robot?
Oh, what's his name? B4?
I don't know. I'm a sucker for those kind of characters though.
You're a
Like the
sucker for him?
yeah, like the what's the robot in Rogue One? Like he's my favorite character in that whole movie.
K2SO?
Yeah, dude, he's so awesome.
Yeah, he is awesome. Andor's
So
relationships with these droids are pretty cool.
yeah, and I know every
Yeah.
Disney movie has a
I
side
like
character
him, though.
like that, but I thought that
Uh-huh.
they work every time, so they
Yeah,
get points
his
for
his
that.
dry delivery of stuff is pretty nice,
Yeah.
pretty funny.
Let's see.
Yeah, I like him. I haven't seen his impact on the story too much yet, but he's got a little bit of levity to a pretty not funny show.
Yeah.
And Luthen is such a cool character. I cannot wait to see what they do with his character moving forward. I mean, obviously he's going to be like bringing in Andor into the ranks of the rebellion, right? Don't you think?
Oh yeah. I mean, I like how it's like he knows everything, and we don't know that yet, but we like get this feeling from him. He's like, I got everything
Yeah.
under control, kind of a situation. And I wonder if that's going to be like not flipped on its head, but it's like not really. He really doesn't. But he is a dude that you can trust, if that makes any sense. Because like you said, the rebellion's barely started, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
or it's
I mean,
beginning. It's not even started. It's literally the beginning. So,
I'm sure he'll be. I'm sure he'll be a part of like probably the more intense side of the rebellion. I mean, if you remember, Saw Gerrera was like
is he going to be
they
in
were like,
this?
I think so. I think he's going to be in it. I think his name is listed in the cast. So I bet they're part of that, like cell.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're like extremists. Because in Rogue One, they're like, oh, we don't work with them because they go too hard.
Yeah.
They break some rules. They kind of bend the line between good and bad. So
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to be a part of that group, and that'll be interesting to see this things because Andor ends up being a spy. At least Rogue One says that he's a spy for
Mm-hmm.
the rebellion. So I'm interested to see like how he trains him.
Yeah, how dirty his hands get essentially to do what he needs to do. Because that's what
Yes.
they keep like preaching on that, like this is what the dirty rebellion looks like, kind of a thing. So I want to see that. I want to
Yes.
see them like make some decisions that I don't agree with, but that's what has to happen, kind of a thing. But we'll see if Disney does that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in Rogue One, he says we all did things we aren't proud of for the Empire or for the rebellion.
Yeah.
And what are those things?
Yeah.
I guess.
I want to see that.
Boy, the dialogue between Andor and Luthen when they first meet each other is awesome.
It's like a
so
chess
good.
match.
Two solid actors.
Yeah.
Yes, it's incredible. And Luthen hints to Andor's father getting hung. Do you think it's like the guy that saved him in the ship with his like stepmom?
I think so. It has to be
His
because we never
adopted
saw any
mom?
of the adults. Like we
Right.
haven't seen anything of his like actual blood. So
Yeah,
I don't
but like
know.
obviously that triggered him because immediately he points a gun to his
Oh
head. He's
yeah,
like, "Who are you?" And so I don't know how Luthen knows this stuff, but he's obviously there for him and not the little box that Andor is trying to sell.
yeah.
Do you think he really just walked into an Empire base and took the cube?
I don't. I would think so. If that's actually true, that's kind of cool. Like he just has the confidence to just walk in there, kind of like YOLO, and just do it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it could be like a Han
I
Solo
couldn't tell if Andor
situation.
was like bluffing on him.
Yeah,
Like I'm not
or
going to
like he
tell you actually
exaggerates
how
it.
I did this.
Yeah,
Uh
he's
huh.
super exaggerating or something like that. That could
Uh huh.
be how he does it too. But
But he really wanted that cube back.
hmm
So
he
like
worked hard for it.
the fight with the anchors was so cool.
Yeah,
I was loving it.
it get progressively like more dangerous because at first I was like, okay, cool,
Yeah.
one little weight thing fell, and then as the
Uh huh.
whole thing went on, it got worse and worse and worse.
It's just collapsing and anchors are swinging everywhere and
Yeah,
like taking people out. I think he even gets hit at one point and it like knocks him across the room.
yeah,
So that was pretty cool.
yeah. That was like the big
Um,
finale of the episode.
and they kept showing like, boy, he really values this cube. Like, I wonder. The only time the Empire even shows up in the show is just the symbol on that cube.
hmm
You know,
Do you
they really haven't even showed the Empire
do you think
yet,
it's
so
going to
I'm
be like
excited to see the Empire.
yeah? Do you think that's going to be like a key part of the story is using that cube to get in somewhere? Do you think they're going to do it like that?
Man, I don't know. I
Or
don't
like a
know
red
how the
herring?
cube's going to come into play, but like obviously Andor. I don't know if it's maybe just a like a character thing of like this is the kind of stuff Andor used to care about, and now he's going to be a totally changed person. In the future.
Yeah, I do like the whole
Um,
town kind of feels like they're in it together. So when the bad dudes show up, they're all banging the gongs and stuff, the metal things, and everyone's shut down
I
shop. And
liked that.
yeah,
I liked that, but I did not understand it.
I didn't either. I didn't fully understand why they were doing it. I was assuming like everyone's like, hey, we don't like the government. Everyone shut
Is it
up.
just an
Close.
alarm? Like
I,
these
I
guys are on a rampage?
yeah, because I feel like everyone there is kind of like a scoundrel. Everyone's like wheeling and dealing because
Yeah.
like everyone that he knows, that Cassian knows, with Bix and there's two other random guys that are like telling each other, "Hey, the government's here, watch out." They're just like warning everyone. So I'm assuming the whole town has that vibe. I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but that's what I thought.
That
That's
must
what I
be it.
interpreted it as.
And Andor's mom was like, it gets worse when they stop. It's a reckoning. It's the sound of a reckoning. But then nothing happens when it stops.
Yeah, nothing
I was
happened.
so
I was like, wait,
confused.
what? That was the bit they used, I think,
Uh,
in one of the trailers. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then,
it was cool. And the whole thing, like it worked. It was effective. Like I was on edge
yeah,
from the sound that they kept doing. And then when it stopped, you're like, what's going on?
yeah.
And then that ship explodes in the distance. Do you think his work buddy sabotaged that ship? Because I was
Oh,
like,
well,
what happened? And then I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh, I think he sabotaged it
yeah,
because
I'm pretty
it
sure
was
like
like
it hints
tethered
at
to the
it.
ground.
Pretty sure it hints at it,
Yeah,
like, because he's walking away from that ship. Because he shouldn't be over there. He's walking away from the ship, and I'm assuming he's just hinting at it. But I like that it doesn't tell you. You just kind of have to put two and two together.
I agree. Yeah, they didn't just say, "Hey, I did that,"
Yeah, that's what I think would happen, and
or
that's
have
why
a
I kind
shot
of
at
like
him
him.
looking at the explosion, like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, I
yeah, I
did
did that.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I killed that guy."
yeah. High five.
You just kind of have to infer. But I was like, "Whoa, what happened? What just happened?"
Yeah,
Kind of
good for
like
that
them,
dude.
like they think they're surrounded because they're just getting played.
Yeah, I hope those guys get smarter, and it's like a chess match between those guys, like learning how
I
each
didn't
other.
think they were. I didn't think they were incompetent. I didn't think they were
No,
dumb.
no, they're
I just
smarter than
think
most
that they were
stormtroopers. I'll
just
tell you that
out of their
much.
element. They're out of their depth. What?
I said they're smarter than most stormtroopers. I'll tell you that much. Those guys are
Oh,
dumb.
yeah, absolutely. Most of the bad guys in these shows are just really stupid.
Yeah,
So I appreciate that these guys at least seem like they're organized and
yeah, yeah. They just
like
underestimated
they
them.
killed Tim. They killed the main character. So, and it wasn't just it was kind of brutal because he just laid in the street dead
Yeah, he
for
did,
a
yeah,
while. But
yeah. I really enjoyed it for sure.
yeah, it was good. It was really good. And I hope it just gets better. I hope it just more of Luthen, more of just the rebellion and the Empire.
Yeah.
I just
Now I'm going off of
I was really impressed.
oh, go ahead.
And it's so funny too because this is the show that I was least excited for when they announced all the shows.
Really?
Yeah, I just did not care because it's like we already know what happens to Andor, and he wasn't even my favorite character in the Rogue One.
Yeah, that's true. I just knew it looked like Rogue One, and I was like, if it feels like Rogue One, I'm gonna like it. So I'm excited for it.
Covered that you thinking about?
I'm pretty sure we talked about everything. I mean, the main point I put away was like the chemistry and relationships that the writers have like made for the show feel like really real, and I enjoy like the dialogue when they're talking. Like I feel like it's important. So I, like you were saying earlier, you have to listen to what they're saying because everything they say matters.
It has nuance.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
But that's pretty
we
much it.
keep
We've talked
if
about everything
you haven't
else.
noticed, we're focusing on the dialogue because
Yeah.
that is something we have always complained about in these shows.
Yes,
Is how it
Star
feels
Wars
like it was
doesn't have
written
that.
for 7-year-olds, and like the Obi-Wan show, I really wanted this kind of writing with the Obi-Wan show.
Dude, don't even get me
But this
started
is
on
not to
Obi-Wan.
dog. I was about to say this is not to dog the other shows. We're just talking about how we like this one. So,
Yeah,
where
so
do you think they go from here? What is the next step?
yeah, that's what I was about to ask. I haven't seen the trailer for the next couple episodes, because they release them after every week or whatever. I've only seen the ones prior to the
I've
show
tried not to
releasing.
watch any trailers.
Yeah, and I just know that Mon Mothma or whatever her name is going to be in it. And that's about all I know.
Okay.
Just because I saw her character in the trailer. So I think it gets more political, which I like political drama. If that's the direction they go, I'm all about it. That just means more dialogue. That's going to be great. No, we're harping on that point, but it's nice to getting
I
good
want
dialogue in Star Wars. So
I want to see these guys spying. I want to see them infiltrating the Empire. I want to see them breaking up some plans that they have. I want to see, man. I mean, I don't really need cameos, but I'd be all right if I saw a little bit of Thrawn or if
no
I saw
way,
like a big
no way.
bad.
You
That'd be
ain't
cool.
getting.
You
There's
don't
no
want
way.
Thrawn?
Oh, I would love it, but I don't think they're gonna do it. There's no way.
I don't know if there is, but I think it would be cool, and it would tie in the Ahsoka show too. That's coming out. So
yeah, I don't know how they're
but
gonna.
I don't think that's gonna happen. But that would be cool. I just want to see. I mean, do you think we see Vader?
Do you think? I don't know. Do you think they'll put Vader in there? I feel like they would have to get some brownie points.
I don't think so. The way the show has gone so far, they're really not making it feel like straight up Star Wars. Like it's like it feels like its own thing in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I feel like they'll mention him or something.
So I bet they mention him. Like they just can't help themselves, right? They can't help themselves.
Yeah, I mean, if he just starts going through some, won't complain.
For that. I just want to see him spy on the Empire, and I want to see him. I mean, honestly, just keep the story going with Andor and his climb in the ranks of the rebellion.
Are we gonna see like other rebellion groups too throughout the show, or is it just gonna be this crew?
I bet if Mon Mothma's involved, she's not a part of Saw Gerrera's group. So I bet we'll see different parts of the rebellion, especially in their early stages. I'll be interested to see if we see the Senate.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Like, are they going to be in those chairs again and all that stuff?
I hope if they do like the different groups, like rebellion groups, and then like eventually they come together to form the rebellion, I'd be interested to see like the conflict amongst themselves. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because that's like a real thing. That's like what would actually happen in real life is like they disagree on how to approach things, and seeing that come to fruition.
That's how it is in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that. I bet that happens. Actually, that's a good prediction. All right. Well, I guess when we did the Rings of Power, we rated each episode. Do you want to rate each episode, or do you just want to rate them as a whole?
I'll do it as a whole because, like you were saying, it feels like one big episode. That's what it should be, at least.
I agree. All right, what are you giving it?
Out of 10?
Out of 10.
Oh gosh, okay. I didn't even think about this until you brought it up, so this is kind of like a gut reaction, real quick. I'd have to, if this is, I'm gonna say an 8. I think an 8's a conservative number because if it gets better, to me that's peak Star Wars. So a 9 would be reasonable. Yeah. But if it gets worse or it's average, it'll stalemate. A 7 would be fine too. So I'll say an 8 right now. I'm
giving an 8.5 right now. It's definitely has room to grow to be like my favorite show for sure. I mean, it might already be, and we're only in 3 episodes.
Yeah,
Mandalorian just has so much to it.
Yeah, they have a whole 2 seasons already on it.
2 seasons. Yeah. In the end, I mean, where do you think this might rank in your Star Wars hierarchy? Do you think it'll be Rogue One, then this show, and then the movies?
It might. It depends. If this show continues to do good or do better, it might be the number one thing. It might be Rogue One. Just Rogue One's a movie. So
that's true.
I'm keeping my hopes.
That's high hopes.
I can't do that. Forget what I said.
Can't be doing that to yourself.
It's too high expectations for Star Wars.
I agree, man. I agree. I don't think it'll ever pass movies, just because I love movies. But I mean, it could pass. It could pass some of them, but it won't ever be my number one.
Yeah, I say that.
That's where I'm setting my expectations, anyways.
Yeah, Weekend Revenge.
All right. Well, anything else?
Not for the show. No, I think that's pretty much it. I
Okay.
can't believe it's 12
Well,
episodes
if
though.
it
It's exciting.
turns out, I agree. I hope I'm right. That's what I've heard, though. Man, if it ends up being as good as we are hoping, we'll definitely have to do another one, and we'll just recap the whole show.
Oh, I hope so.
And
I hope it is really good because that'd be awesome.
I agree. I think it'd be a blast. But hey, thanks for joining the show and with
Yeah,
this
no,
show.
thanks for having me.
Uh,
It's fun to talk about it with someone who actually knows Star
anytime.
Wars besides me. So
Exactly. And I wanted to talk with Ashton, but he was like, I don't want it ruined for me. I don't have time to watch it. So I'm like, well, I got to talk about the show. I
yeah,
can't
yeah,
not talk about it.
yeah,
So I'm glad you were able to fill in.
yeah.
Thanks for listening. Please rate the podcast, give it 5 stars, share it or whatever. We appreciate you getting this far, and see you next episode. See you next week. All right, later.